Hey everybody, welcome to the odd vlog, and really exciting. We've literally just seen parts 1 and 2 of the new Kenobi show on Disney Plus, and this is basically just my initial immediate reactions to seeing the 2 episodes, and I absolutely loved it. Like seriously loved it. I thought it was totally awesome. I had my expectations kind of low for the show. I didn't want to get too caught up in the hype and thinking that it was going to be the most amazing thing ever. But it really is good. It's so great. So I just wanted to get my kind of initial reactions out there. Yeah, I loved it. If you haven't seen the show already, spoiler alert, we're going to go through what happens in those first 2 episodes and spend about like 10 minutes just kind of talking about some of the things that feature in it. So spoiler alert, let's jump straight into it. And one of the things I really liked, like straight from the word go with part 1, was the way that it kind of does really a great intro by recapping the events of episodes 1, 2, and 3 from the prequel movies. And just stitching them together really nicely, really like flowing through the story, just kind of catching you up on everything. But it really kind of drives home the fact that those films obviously are still relevant and really important to the story. And yeah, it's just nice to see those films kind of being relevant again. There's so little that kind of gets done for them now with Disney Plus shows. It's all very kind of post Return of the Jedi, into the sequel trilogy and all that kind of thing. So it's kind of nice just to go back and have this throwback to, you know, Kenobi and Anakin and those kind of characters. So, you know, right from the word go, as soon as you press play, you're thrown back into that time period. And that was just a great really way to start, I thought. And then it kind of then pushes forward, you know, you jump like 10 years to the time when the Inquisitors are starting to come out, which is then obviously connecting into the Rebel show as well. You see the Grand Inquisitor and the brothers and sisters of the Inquisitors all kind of trying to hunt these Jedi. And what I really loved as well in part 1 was the fact that you actually got to see when Order 66 begins and you get the clone troopers kind of marching in on the Jedi Temple. You actually see some of those fights and those battles that are happening in the temple, which you've never seen before. You never really got to see that happen in episode 3. You kind of saw them marching in with Anakin, but you don't really see what then happens. You know what happens because obviously they all get killed, but you don't see it. So it was great to actually kind of see that happening, and in live action as well. It was really cool. And basically the idea is that, you know, some of the younglings, they kind of managed to escape somehow, and then one of them later on, you know, 10 years later, is then appearing on Tatooine, and then you've got Kenobi kind of hiding in the mountains, and somehow this Jedi kid finds him, and you kind of really get the sense when you see that scene of the two of them meeting up in the desert, just how much Kenobi is trying to, you know, stay hidden and stay in the shadows and almost kind of forget about that period of his life, what happened before. And his only concern now, his only real role is just to make sure that young Luke is okay. Now, I thought that young Luke was probably going to be a bit more prominent as a feature in this, and that his role in this series is probably going to be to protect young Luke from, you know, the Inquisitors and all the people that are hunting these Jedi. But actually, what we find out is that it's actually young Leia is the kind of, I say antagonist, it's probably not really the right word, but you know, the key motivator for him in this story is that she actually gets kidnapped. She gets kidnapped by basically, I say bounty hunters, not particularly good bounty hunters, who are being hired by one of the Inquisitors to essentially put Kenobi into a trap. They kidnap her to bring him out of his retirement, and unfortunately he falls for it, and he goes off and tries to rescue her and bring her back. Which is obviously kind of a bit daft. You sort of think, well, surely you should be kind of clever enough to know not to fall for this. But at the same time, it's just playing to his character and his strength, that he's always wanting to help people. And they really kind of pull on that the whole way through in both parts 1 and 2 that we've seen so far. You know, he's taking food from his kind of job where he's having to cut up meat on this carcass, and then it's presumably being sold off, and he's kind of just part of the labour force that's cutting up all this stuff, and he tries to sneak away a few slices, and so far as I could tell, he doesn't eat it himself. He feeds it to the animals that he's looking after, and then he's trying to help Leia and look out for Luke, and even make toys for Luke, buying parts off of a Jawa to build him a toy. And he's obviously just got this caring and nurturing side to him, which of course we know, but he can't help himself but then go and try to help save Leia when she gets kidnapped. So obviously that pulls him in. There is a trap that's laid for him, and the Inquisitors kind of fall on him, and it's basically going to get really, really messy. And then we see in part 2, the real twist at the end is that the new Inquisitor, who I think his name is Reva or Rava or something like that, actually takes her lightsaber and on appearances kills the Grand Inquisitor, which we know she obviously doesn't kill him, because I'm pretty sure this is all happening before Rebels, so obviously the Grand Inquisitor appears in that and gets killed in the Rebels show. So he obviously survives this attack, but in the two of these Inquisitors fighting one another, it enables Kenobi to escape with Leia from the city where she's been taken, and presumably he's going to go off and return her back to Alderaan. And it's in that moment, in that scene, where he actually learns that Anakin is alive. Anakin is Darth Vader. He didn't know that before. He had no idea until one of the Inquisitors told him, which I thought was amazing that he didn't know this. But it's his kind of revelation, and the more he kind of sinks into this and the impact of that news kind of reaches him, he thinks Anakin's been dead for the last 10 years and that he probably was the one who killed him. Now all of a sudden he finds out not only is Anakin alive, but he's Darth Vader. So it's kind of this moment of realization and almost like the horror and shock that's there. He speaks out the name Anakin, and in doing so you then suddenly get this epic shot of Anakin in a Bacta tank, scarred and deformed as you'd expect him to be. He's all wired up, and you hear the mask, the breathing apparatus of Vader when he's in this Bacta tank, and his eyes suddenly open and you see it, and that's how part 2 finishes. And it's just such an epic moment, not only from the perspective of Kenobi, this moment of realization, this almost horror that you can see in his eyes, and then you finally see Anakin, you see Darth Vader without the mask on, just the breathing apparatus in a Bacta tank, opening his eyes, and it's like something out of a horror film. It's just the way they reveal him, and it's truly, truly epic, and I can't wait for part 3. I'm really glad. I think it comes out on the Wednesday and today's the Friday, so we don't have to wait a whole week, best part of a week, but not a whole week for the next episode to come out, because I really can't wait to see it and see where this goes. Weirdly, I'm particularly interested to see how the Grand Inquisitor survives, because he has been stabbed through the chest with a lightsaber, so kind of don't know how he survives that. He looks pretty dead, but we know that he can't be. So we'll wait to see what happens with that. And and obviously, Darth Vader is presumably gonna appear at some point, because it gives you the impression that all of a sudden Vader or Anakin are suddenly really aware of where Kenobi is and what he's doing, and the fact that there was this connection through the Force to the both of them, and it's going to build into a huge showdown between the two of them, I'm sure. So I think this is going to be a great, great series. The music was brilliant. It was great to see. Young Leia was really hysterical, and a brilliant actress as well that they've got playing little young Leia, and so believable as the character as well. Really kind of smart aleck and sarcastic and stubborn and really intelligent, and it's just a perfect characterization of a young version of Leia. So that was really great. Actually, I really enjoyed that part of it. There's a few things that I kind of feel like not necessarily missed opportunities, and we could still see them, but things like we didn't see Grogu in the temple at the beginning, which I kind of felt like that would have been a good little reference to sort of show that's where Grogu had come from, because our understanding of his origin is that he was a youngling who managed to escape the temple at Order 66. So he could have been there, he could have been in that scene, even just a snippet of him, so at least we had a reference of him being there, because we've never seen him there before. So that would have been quite good. They chose the city where Leia got kidnapped and taken to, where all of these fight scenes happen. I kind of felt like there was a missed opportunity that I could have set that in Batuu and tied in Galaxy's Edge. only because I really want to see that in a live action show, or any show, any Star Wars show. I want to see Galaxy's Edge actually appearing on screen, and being tied in a little bit more. So that's just a personal thing, but I'm not disappointed that it's not in it. I wouldn't expect it to. It just could have been a really cool kind of reference. And also the idea that they're in this kind of sleazy town, and it's, you know, full of crime and it's really dangerous. I kind of feel like a brief little appearance. I always want to call him Honda Accord, which I know is not his name. Hondo Anaka would have been. It would have just been cool to see him. We've never actually seen him in live action, so it would have been nice for him to have popped up. We know he's in Rebels, so we know he's kind of around at that time. So, but you never know. You never know. There's always an opportunity for him to appear. Similarly, I thought that when there's a moment in part 2 when you hear about another Jedi, and that Kenobi's being taken to go and meet another Jedi who can probably help him to find Leia. Now, he's not a Jedi. The whole thing is a con set up to basically get money out of people for pretending to help them and pretending to be a Jedi. If that had turned out to be Cal Kestis, that would have been really cool. They didn't do it, but I think if they had done that, probably just would have been fan service, and it probably wouldn't have added to the story as well. But you never know. There's opportunities there. We know Cal is around at this time, so you never know. There's just a possibility that we know he exists in this time period. He could pop up. Same with Ezra, same with Kanan as well. There's just these other characters that we know are in this time period that, again, you know, live action, they'd be really, really good. And you never know, there's still plenty of time. There's still, like 4 more episodes to go. So we could get these odd appearances. But if we don't, I'm not going to worry about it. This show doesn't hinge on those appearances and these cameos. And a cameo for cameo's sake doesn't add anything to a show. So if they don't do it, I'm not going to worry about it. And if the show does continue on the way that it started, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be really good. I'm so pleased because I felt like there was so much hype and excitement for this, that if they hadn't have done it right, it just could have really been a disaster and people just absolutely would have hated it and trashed it. So I'm really pleased that it's amazing. I love it. I think it's so good. What a great start to a show. So with that said, leave a comment. Let me know, did you guys like it? I hope you did. And if you haven't seen it yet, then I don't know why you're watching this, but if you haven't seen it yet, go and see it. I'm definitely going to want to watch it again. And bring on part 3. So with that said, we're all done, and I'll see you guys soon.